Karen from Final Finds, and I'm here to talk to you about all things vintage and antique. So I have 3 antique booths at Williamsburg Antique Mall in Williamsburg, Virginia. I opened the first booth in 2019, that was right before the pandemic, and then a few months later the mall closed when the pandemic really ramped up. So I was like, oh my gosh, I have the worst luck in the world. But thankfully the Williamsburg Antique Mall didn't charge us rent during that really rough time, so that was a great thing. So eventually we opened back up and sales started to pick up, but Williamsburg, Virginia, where the antique mall is a tourist town, so there wasn't any tourists. So I was selling things, but it was probably mostly to local people. Eventually it got better and better, and I opened 2 more booths at the antique mall. So now I have a total of 3. So this channel is to talk to you about all things vintage and antique, and hopefully you can learn from me and I can learn from you. So for our first video, we're going to talk about what sold in the antique mall in the month of June. And this is from all 3 booths. So the first item up sold on a Saturday. It was on 6th floor, and it was an Echo hand mixer. The hand mixer I got in a kitchen lot, so I had a bunch of different items. I sold the hand mixer for $10. And this hand mixer is by a company out of Chicago, and they have been making things since 1888. So vintage item, super cute. A lot of people like to buy these vintage kitchen utensils. Saying that 3 times fast. Alright, next item up, Reed's Rocket Nutcracker. So I got this because it looked kind of vintagey and cool, and this item, when I googled it before during research for the show, it was $350 on Cherish. And I was like, what? $350? That's crazy. Did I make a mistake? Is this thing like super valuable or something? It's not. It's on Amazon for new on Amazon for 30 bucks. Alright, so for the next item we have sold on a Sunday, it was a nautical oil painting. And as you can see, really nice painting. It did have a $50 marking and magic marker on the back of it, so I couldn't remove it. So I was a little worried about whether or not it would sell, because I paid more than $50 for it. And I do need to make a little profit, because we, of course, have to pay rent at Williamsburg Antique Mall. So this item actually sold. I had it $250 on it, and I gave it to them for $175. Just because of the sheer fact I was thinking, well, it does have $50 on the back, but we know that things go up in price as they age. So speaking of paintings, I have really been watching Dr. Lori, the PhD antique appraiser, a lot lately, and I've been learning more and more about paintings. And I actually had this painting already before I started watching her, but she is an antiques appraiser expert. She really knows a lot about art, so I have been buying more paintings, which is kind of fun. It's getting me into something new. So if you can, check her out. You can learn a lot from her. Alright, next item we have up were just 2 cake pans. They are $16 on Amazon new. They were in brand new condition. I sold those 2 cake pans, both of them for $9. So total $9 for 2 pans. Alright, so I like to mix in new items in the antique mall. I guess when I was first opening up, I was a little worried about, I wanted to appeal to different groups. So like if you're there with your friends and one friend really likes the antiques and vintage items, but your other friend is like, no way, I'm not touching that stuff. I want to buy something new. Why'd you drag me here? I wanted to give them something, for them to buy, something great for them to buy. So I mix in new items. So I still had some Christmas items, not very many, but I did leave a few in the shop. And I had a galvanized tin bucket full of cookie cutter ornaments. So they were ornaments made out of cookie cutter, made to look like cookie cutters. So I bought those from a wholesaler, and I sold 2 sets of those on Sunday for $13 each. They're super cute, as you can see. Alright, so the next item is an interesting item. This is a teak live well from a boat. So somebody had pulled this out of a boat, and we got it at an estate sale, and they actually had it, where the stairs go up and you have that big blank wall. They had it sitting there by their stairs using it as a bench, and I thought, what a great idea. And when we brought it in the antique mall, we had a lot of interest in it. They were like, what is that? That looks really nice. And one of the other dealers in the antique mall was like, you should have $450 on that, but we actually only had $250 on it. But and that item sold in a couple weeks, and they called, and they call if an item's over $100, the antique mall will call you and ask you if you'll give a percentage off if the patron or customer asks for it. So usually, almost all the time, I give them something off. I figure, well, if they're calling, they probably really want it, and I want to give them a discount if they call. So I gave them a discount and actually gave them $50 off. So they got it for $150. So I thought that was a really good deal. That sold on the 5th. All right, the next item up we have are horses' hams. I like to buy a lot of different items. I don't really gravitate to one single kind of genre. So these horse hams, I thought, oh, those look really cool. Hanging in a restaurant, go to a Texas Roadhouse or something like that. Maybe put it up in the office at your house. I don't know, but it looked really good on the wall. These horse hams sold on 6/6 for $30. Okay, so the next item we have up sold 2 items on 6/6, and these were Christmas trees. Has some white ones and some green ones, so probably the same person picked them up. But these items sold, they were new items, for $45 each. All right, on 6/10, I sold a mason jar. Not much to say about the mason jars. I'm sure you're probably pretty familiar with them, and you probably know how to date them already. But my mason jar, based on the ball signature that was embossed on the jar, was between 1933 and 1962. And you can tell that based on different things like the underscore, or if the A has a little flip in the beginning of it. But that item sold on 6/10 for $30. Up next, we have a Wedgwood heart bowl. Wedgwood, I have a lot of Wedgwood, as you can see in this booth right over here. The Wedgwood I got at an estate sale. This person was a huge collector. Really great Wedgwood. I love the blue and white pieces and the green, different colors. They've got that royal blue color as well. Those sell really well. But this Wedgwood heart bowl, you can also date those based on the markings on the back of it. I guess I was lazy and didn't date this one, but it sold for $10. All right, so this next item up is an insulator, and it's an insulator that they use on an electrical line. I will be honest, when I was looking at them at the estate sale online, I was in a hurry and I was like, what are these? These look cool. They look kind of vintagey, and that's my word, vintagey, if you haven't noticed already. Anyway, so I looked them up real quick. I saw that they sold pretty good on eBay, so I got a lot of them, and I think I had 5 and they all sold. But my husband was like, what? Why did you buy these? No one's going to buy these. Just put $3 on them. But I didn't. I went with $8 each, and they all sold. And they're actually collector's items, interestingly enough. So if, they go on the electrical lines if they're above the ground, but since we've been putting electrical lines in the ground, they don't really have a need for them anymore. So from the 1960s, people started collecting them. All right, just a bit of history. Next item is just a wooden rolling pin. Sold the wooden rolling pin for $5. Not much to say about that. Oh, I will make a quick note about the pictures. They're not great, right? So they're not great because we just intended them to use them in our inventory for like photo purposes for our inventory. And so that's why the pictures aren't that great. But as we get new inventory in, we'll make sure to take better pictures of them so that when we show them to you, you can see them more clearly. All right, next up is a vanity. I have sold every single vanity tray, that I bought. So not the vanity itself, but what goes on the vanity tray. I've sold all of them, and this one I thought was kind of chic, chicy, shabby kind of look. I loved it, almost kept it, but they're very versatile. You can use them for a lot of things, and I intend to buy things that will sell based on functionality, because people want things in their house that are functional, right? So that vanity tray sold for $25. Then on 6/12, I sold galvanized pails with handle. Galvanized pail with handle. They sell okay. I do buy the galvanized pails. I like them. I think they look great in a farmhouse. I would love to use them for planters, but unfortunately my house probably wouldn't look great with my house style. It's colonial. So galvanized pail, great vintage farmhouse primitive style, sold for $35. And then we have the wooden rooster, which I got a little burned on a little bit. It's super cute, don't get me wrong, but I thought it was vintage or old, and it wasn't. I was fooled by the paint. Don't be fooled by the paint. Lesson learned. That vintage item or non-vintage item, it was had a sticker on the bottom of it from Marshall's for $12, and I paid like $22, I think, for it, but it ended up selling. I tried to double my money, but on this wooden rooster, I didn't think I could double my money, so I put $35 on it, and it sold on 6/16. And then next up, we have this antique oil lamp. I like the oil lamps. I do decorate with them in my house. So this antique oil lamp sold for $18 on 6/17. And then on 6/20, I sold a vintage brown shoulder jug, or a whiskey jug. I really like these items too, and they sell pretty well. That item sold for $48. And then next up we have a Victorian marble top table. I have a lot of furniture too, which is good and bad. Bad in that, you know, you have tourists and they can't lug furniture home with them if they're flying home on a plane. So I know my furniture items appeal to the locals that come through. And the Victorian items, I have a love-hate relationship because I love them because my mom loved them. But they're not great sellers for me. Although this Victorian marble top table, probably because I had a great price on it, sold for $162. And I did give them a discount as well. It had $180 on it. And it was in good shape. And I think it sold because of the good price, but it did only take a few months for that to sell. Other marble tabletop Victorian items I've had for a long time. They have all sold, but one took a year, one took like maybe 8 months. So love-hate relationship with them. All right, so up next we have just two more items. One was a brass candle snuffer. I do have a lot of brass items too. One of the first estate sales that I went to had a huge collection of brass, so I also acquired that huge collection of brass just to get items in my booth. And I do buy the brass items because they're pretty good sellers. So the candle snuffer sold for $20. And then last but not least, I sold a handsaw, and I find that these vintage tools, that I hang on the wall really do sell well. So this was just a vintage handsaw, and that item sold for $30. So for the month of June, to sum it up, 22 items sold, $934. My busiest days were Sunday, followed by Friday, and then Monday and Saturday tied. So I hope you learned some things from my video, and I hope you click that subscribe button. Please feel free to comment. If you have any comments on the items that I sold, I'd love to hear. In the future, we're going to make more videos. We'll be going to a all-day auction, and I would love to show you that video and just kind of tell you what we experienced. So I hope you subscribe, and thank you for watching. Till next time.